time she ran. There is nothing.
Yo, welcome back to my channel, and this time we're doing a Friday the 13th special episode. And in this episode I wanted to show you guys some movie reviews from some old movies that I watched, some horror movies in the theme of Halloween. And also I wanted to introduce to you all a video game that I'm working on for this month. It's a game jam, but it's a horror game jam written by ChatGPT. So first thing, let's jump into the first movie review and let's check that out. And then after that, we'll go through a little bit of the game, and then we'll jump into the second movie review. Thriller, a slasher. It's a new movie by Dallas Jackson on Netflix. And it's, let's talk about it. So this is Chauncey. He's kind of like mentally, I guess he's autistic, and he's just a really good guy. And the kids, his classmates, they pick on him. And so they're pulling a prank on him right here. This little girl invited him into the house, saying, yo, can you help me save my cat? And so then he goes in there like, of course, anything for you, Lisa. And then the kids jump out and just start attacking him and scaring him. They're not like really beating on him, they're just like chanting his name. And he gets so scared that he accidentally pushes a kid. And he pushes that little girl over the balcony. And she falls. And she ends up dying. And when her sister's there and everybody's there, and they're like, oh my god, we're gonna be in so much trouble for pranking this dude. But then they just blame it on Chauncey. They're like, shoot, we didn't do it, Chauncey did it. Chauncey did it. And all of them agree Chauncey did it. And so Chauncey, he's the one who gets in trouble for murder, and he gets locked up for 4 years. So this is all their freshman year, or this is their 8th grade year, and he gets locked up for 4 years. Now 4 years later, it's everybody's senior year, and you know, it shows their high school experience and whatnot and how they've grown up. All the main characters are the ones who are bullying Chauncey at the beginning, so now they're grown as 12th graders. So that's Lisa, and that's one of the other guys that was there. He's now a football player. These are two people that was there. This dude right here, he's mad gangster in this movie, but he's from Baldwin Hills, so it's like weird. And she's actually gangster because she's from Compton. So all the friends are all together, and one of them I haven't shown, he sees Chauncey, and he's like, yo, Chauncey got out. He comes and tells the whole group, I think Chauncey got out. And actually Chauncey did get out. And there's this weird scene that Chauncey goes and chokes his mom. I really don't understand what that was about. But he's just like crazy. They also try to put some black love in this movie, you know what I'm saying? Educate yourself, young brother. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure that message is being pushed across too. I hear you, Dallas Jackson. Then Chauncey, you know what I'm saying, he's threatening all the people up to their homecoming dance. Like the homecoming dance is coming up, and Chauncey's like threatening people. One of the guys that was bullying the kids, Chauncey came and just stabbed him and cut his stomach out, and it was really gross. And then this guy right here, he's the one who said Chauncey is coming anyways. He's like, yo, I seen what happened to the other guy. One of us is going to be next because Chauncey's coming back for everybody who bullied him. And then it says, I'm back. And that's the guy, that's the athlete. So he was one of the guys who bullied Chauncey, and now Chauncey's coming back for him as well. So the night of the homecoming dance, everybody's going out there to have a good time. Lisa's going to go get crowned as the queen, and the football player, is going to be the king. But Chauncey shows up and starts murking everybody. It's like a prom night scene. And he kills a whole bunch of people. It's a lot of drama. And then there's a big twist at the end, which it's actually a good twist. I was like hoping that there would be a twist, and that was cool. And the movie ends, and so I want you to watch it, and I'm not going to give away the twist. I will, however, share with you my Black People horror score for this movie, and then you can decide if you want to go watch it yourself. So let's break it down. So I gave this movie an 8 out of 25 for the Black People horror score. And for the reasons, I'll show you why. Let's go into each category. So for the concept, 2 out of 5, because I thought the concept was okay. It wasn't executed the best, but it was an okay concept. Okay, cool. For the message, I thought the message, for me, I got anti-bullying, and that's okay, cool. It's kind of weak, but 2 out of 5. Scare factor. This movie, to me, it was not scary at all. It was just like it was entertaining, but not scary. Acting was not good in this movie, in my opinion. So I gave it a 1 out of 5 in acting. So it's 1 out of 5 in scare factor, 1 out of 5 in acting, and then overall 2 out of 5. And the reason why I gave it a 2 out of 5 and not 1 out of 5 is because I was actually rooting for the main character to like beat up all the people who bullied him. So they had me interested. So thanks. The rain poured relentlessly from the inky sky, and Jake's old car sputtered and groaned along the remote highway. The windshield wipers fought a losing battle against the downpour, their rhythmic squeaking adding an eerie soundtrack to the desolate scene. The air inside the car was thick with tension, and Jake's knuckles whitened as he gripped the steering wheel. He'd been driving for hours trying to outrun the storm that seemed to chase him wherever he went. But now, his luck had run out. The engine sputtered one last time and then fell silent, leaving him stranded on this desolate stretch of road surrounded by nothing but dark, looming trees and the relentless rain. Swearing under his breath, Jake pulled over to the side of the road and turned off the ignition. He grabbed his phone and cursed again when he saw the no signal message on the screen. He was truly on his own out here. With a heavy sigh, Jake stepped out of the car and slammed the door shut. Raindrops stung his face as he popped the hood and peered into the engine bay, though he didn't really know what he was looking for. The rain-soaked engine offered him no clues, and Jake's frustration grew. Knock Knock is a short horror film on YouTube, or at least that's where I saw it. I saw it on YouTube. It's probably on other platforms, but it's directed by Kaneki Jones, and it's pretty twisted. So I wanted to go ahead and break it down here on Black People Horror and give it a BPH score and see what it is. So let's jump into it. Okay. It starts by some kids playing in the street. So you see some kids playing in the street. And then it cuts to these two ladies, which the one sitting down doing hair, she's the main character. And those two ladies are talking about how they feel sorry for these kids because, they're poor, and the little girl's like, they don't even go to school no more. And shut your dumb ass up. That's what the white hair lady says to the kid. And these kids are treated so disrespectfully in this thing. But anyways, so the next thing that happens is you hear a voice from the next door neighbor of the kid's mom saying like, get your ass inside the house. And you see the kids looking all sad and going inside the house. But before they go in, the main character, she feels sorry for the kids, so she gives them like a little, I think it's like a bag of popcorn or something like that. And it's like, make sure you share with your brother type shit. And so once they go in, the main character goes into her house, and the lady and the little kid leave. But so the main character is by herself now, and she's in her house, and she can hear her next door neighbor and the kids in there playing hide and seek and having a good time, laughing and just having a good time. And then she also hears through the wall the little kid be like, "Hey mom, I'm hungry." And then the mom over there next door is like, "Oh, you think you're the only one hungry? You stupid ass," like, you know what I'm saying, making the kid feel so bad. So the main character here, she gets her spaghetti and she was gonna put it for leftovers for herself, but she's like, "Nah, I want to give it to them." So she goes over to their house and she leaves the spaghetti at the door, but she's about to knock and then she doesn't knock, and she goes in, like, she doesn't go in, but she looks in the window, and when she sees in the window, she sees like the mom just having a fit, just banging on this freezer or something, just banging. And then the mom spots her and she runs back into her house and she's like, "Oh gosh, I made it." And so later that night, she can still hear the next door neighbors and everything going in. Like, their walls are super thin in this story. But either way, she hears the next door neighbor and she goes and talks to the little one with knocking on the wall. So it's like 2 knocks for a yes, and knock, knock, knock for a goodbye and hello. And so she's talking to them and she's like, "All right, well, good night." And she tells them good night. And then when she goes to bed, she hears her next door neighbor yelling at the kids, and then it gets super violent over there, and she hears like a big old crash and it's like silence. And so she's like, "Oh gosh, what happened?" She's like, "I'm gonna call the cops. She's so scared. And then she's like, "Oh my god, I don't know what happened. Just tell me they're okay." And she's balled up in a corner, and then the lights go out. And she's like, "What?" And so she's looking around. She hears like noises in her house and shuffling. She walks upstairs, looking through her house, trying to figure out what this noise is. And then, you see ghosts. She doesn't see it, but she sees something, you know what I'm saying, and it catches her attention. But the camera shows ghosts there, so it's like, oh shit, you see these little ghost children running through her upstairs. And so the next thing you know is she's outside going into the neighbor's house. Like, she's knocking on the door trying to go in there, and then she decides she's gonna go in, and it's unlocked, and she just walks in, and she was like walking past all this trash and junk, and then she sees a freezer, and she opens it up, and it's 2 children in the freezer. And then the whole movie gets crazy, or the whole film gets crazy from here, because it's like everything starts tying together, and you realize that she is actually the next door neighbor that she's been hearing the whole time. She's realizing it as well as she's flashing back. So basically, it's kind of like a mental disorder that she's had. She was trying her hardest to keep these 4 kids intact, but she was mentally crazy the whole time. And so now it's flashed back to the point where she actually killed her child. And this is freaking crazy. Crazy. So I don't want to give too much details away and how that ending went. I definitely described the ending, but you gotta watch it to really get the full effect. But I don't want to give it away scene by scene or detail by detail, because it's really worth watching it. So I would suggest you go watch it. But in the meantime, what we will do is give it a BPH score. And the BPH score that I gave Knock Knock is 24 out of 25. And we can go ahead and break it down and see why. So for the concept, I gave it a 5 out of 5 because that mental disorder, that was freaky. That was really crazy. The message, I also gave it a 5 out of 5 because I felt like it was speaking to people with mental disorders, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what the film was highlighting. Scare factor, okay, it was not for me because I'm scared by like ghosts and like really like crazy imaginative stuff, but this was not all the way to the peak, but it was very freaky. Like I said, it was twisted. So I'm gonna say 4 out of 5. Acting, definitely got a 5 out of 5. The acting was on point. Even the kid actors were pretty straight in this movie. And overall, I give it a 5 out of 5. So total, that gives this a BPH score of 24 out of 25. As he fumbled around in the rain, something inside the car clicked ominously. Jake's heart sank. He had locked the keys inside. Panic gnawed the edges of his mind as he cursed his own carelessness. Desperation fueled his next decision. He couldn't stay stranded in the middle of nowhere as nightfall approached. He knew there was a town a couple miles ahead, but he also knew it was mostly deserted. It was a ghost town, a place where he had heard whispered tales since he was a child. Turning away from his car, Jake began the long, wet trek towards the eerie, abandoned town. Raindrops slid down his face like tears, and the distant rumble of thunder seemed to mock him. The fading light cast eerie shadows amongst the trees, making the forest seem like a malevolent place. Each step weighed heavily on Jake's nerves. The road seemed to stretch endlessly before him, and he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. His footsteps echoed eerily in the silent woods, and he couldn't help but glance over his shoulder every few moments, half expecting to see something lurking in the shadows.
Hey, 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 I've seen fantastic.
So, Abby is a really good old scary movie from 1974 during the blaxploitation era. And this movie was about a woman who was really, really nice and happy with her new husband. They moved into a new house. Her husband's a preacher and whatnot. And then the preacher's dad, he's like a researcher. So he's like researching in Nigeria, architecture and stuff like that. He comes across this box, and inside the box is this demon Eshu. He opens the box, and the demon Eshu gets let out to the world. And so Eshu's automatically against the guy who let him out. And so she wants to get revenge. And so the demon possesses Abby. And she sees like crazy stuff. Like she starts to get haunted around her house, and her personality starts to change. And nobody could tell like what's wrong with her or what's different. Like she even becomes like obsessed with sex. Like she cheats on her husband and has sex with all these guys, and then ends up killing them after she has sex with them. And that's because of this demon right here, Eshu, the sex demon, which they describe as a demon who, is used the energy of sex basically. So he gets called back from Nigeria to exorcise this demon out of his son's wife. And so they come back and they try to exorcise Abby. Now, Abby is like going around town just being crazy, you know what I'm saying? She's all up in the bars, acting a fool. And they're like, yo, we can't exorcise her at home because if we try to get her home, she might spaz out. And so they exorcise her, or they try to exorcise her at the bar. Everybody cleared out. She set the whole shit on fire. Like she raised off the floor. She was doing all kinds of crazy exorcist shit. And then they couldn't exorcise her the regular way because it was an African demon. So he exorcised her with an African way. And it worked. And eventually Abby was good and her husband was good and everything went back to normal. And that was the story of Abby. So that was a good horror movie, and I gave it an 18 out of 25 for my Black People horror score. Let's go ahead and break it down, and I'll tell you why. So for concept, I gave it a 5 out of 5, because the concept was pretty dope. I've never really heard that concept even be repeated, similar to The Exorcist, but with slight variations. So 5 out of 5. Message, 2 out of 5. Couldn't see a clear message, just an exorcism. So 2 out of 5 is okay message, but not a clear one. Scare factor. Now, this was scary. However, it was 1974, so the effects weren't all that great. So 3 out of 5 for scare factor. Acting for the time and the movie, it was actually straight acting. It was really good. 4 out of 5 for acting. And the overall feel that I felt from this movie, Abby, I say 4 because I still remember it. I like it. It was entertaining. You know what I'm saying? I would recommend it for others. So 4 out of 5, leaving the whole score as a 18 out of 25. As the last vestiges of daylight disappeared, Jake finally reached the outskirts of town. The buildings were dilapidated, their windows shattered, and doors hanging off the hinges. The silence was oppressive. The only sound was the drumming of the rain on the broken pavement. Jake hesitated at the edge of town, his heart pounding. He needed to find help, but the town felt wrong, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something. Gathering his courage, he took a curious step forward. That's when he heard it. A soft, mournful whisper carried on the wind. It was a voice, barely audible, but it sent a shiver down Jake's spine. He strained to listen, trying to make out the words.
Leave now.
The voice grew louder and more insistent, seeming to come from all around him. Panic gripped Jake as he realized no one was in sight. and yet the voice echoed through the empty streets.
Leave now.
Hey, hey, hey. You are fantastic.
The Legend of Black Annie. It's a horror movie written by Terrence Flack, and it was directed by Terrence Flack as well. He's also in it. But it was a movie about a girl who gets wrongfully killed by getting picked on, and she jumps off a cliff. Her mother's into some kind of voodoo, so she brings her back, and her ghost starts just handing out revenge to anybody that was involved, including the parents of the kids that were bullying her. So let's see what it looks like scene by scene, and I'm gonna give you my black people horror rating at the end of this. So the whole movie starts off with these kids bullying this little girl, Annie Black Annie, obviously. And then she gets up and she starts running, and then they chase her and she jumps off this bridge thing and she commits suicide and she dies. That's murder. Then it switches to present day with these guys who are basically narrating the whole movie. These are characters just sitting in a coffee shop talking about Black Annie. And then it switches to this guy who's the professor. He's the whole protagonist of the movie, and he's just like professor of some cryptoid shit. And basically this is the class where he learns about Black Annie, or the Legend of Black Annie. So now the next part of the movie, Black Annie starts unleashing her revenge on people. So this dude is one of the original guy's dad that was picking on Black Annie. He commits suicide at the church by lighting himself on fire. And then this guy, he's Black Annie's father, and this is a flashback they were showing. And this is like the funniest scene in the whole movie, but it's supposed to be the most tragic scene, because he accidentally shoots Black Annie's mother while she was doing some kind of voodoo spell. And she writes the number 13 on the ground, which is like completing her spell, which brings Black Annie's ghost back alive to unleash revenge on people. Now, revenge really is what's happening, because this is Black Annie's dad in present day, and Black Annie shows up and makes him drink till he's dead. And these are the original 3 guys that bully Black Annie, and these are them as adults now. And what's funny is that, this is like really the first time in the movie that you're really seeing them. And it's pretty awkward, but, let's keep on flowing. So then this is one of the original kids' fathers, and he dies by Black Annie making him eat steak and choke on it. No bullshit, I'm not lying. Then we get introduced to this girl, which has a crush on the professor, and she's like a really a sex bunny type character. And this guy, he's the dude who was working in the morgue on all these bodies, and he helped to get rid of the original bodies back in the day, so that there would be no police charges or nothing like that. So Black Annie comes and kills him, again getting her revenge on everybody involved in any part of her death. This girl was sucking one of the main dudes off that was originally bullying Black Annie. And I think she got possessed by Black Annie, I'm not sure, because it looks like her hand. And she turned this thing and all his mechanical equipment fell on him, the car fell on him while he was doing this thing. So he's dead now too. And now this guy died, and he's also one of the original guys that was bullying Black Annie, and she tied a rope around his neck, a jump rope, and made him choke on an apple, and he's dead now. Now, the chick that had a crush on the professor, the sex bunny kitten character, she ended up fucking with the sheriff and ripping off his ball sack and then biting off his lip. I think she was also possessed by Black Annie. I'm not sure, it was not clarified. But the sheriff, he helped get rid of the body as well, so I can see that, Black Annie don't want revenge. Now, the last guy that was picking on Black Annie originally, he tried to commit suicide in the car, and he got saved by the professor. And it skips ahead to the present day, 2012, when the movie was made, and basically he dies by the hand of Black Annie, and the credits come on, and that's the end of the movie. Now, for the Black People horror score, I give this movie a 7 out of 25. We could break it down right now, and I'll give you the reasons why I say so. So check it out. the concept of this movie, it actually had potential. You know what I'm saying? Like a girl gets bullied and then she comes back and her ghost exacts revenge on all the people who bullied her and everybody involved. It's a really good concept. However, I don't think that it was executed to its full potential. So for the concept being okay, I give it a 2 out of 5. Now the message of this movie, I'm going to say that the message was anti-bullying, because that's what I took away from the movie. You know, if you bully somebody, the ghost will come back and kill you and anybody involved in bullying. So for the message aspect of this movie, I'll give it a 2 out of 5 because there was a message there. Now for the scare factor, I'm going to have to be honest. This movie was not scary at all. And the only reason why I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 instead of a 0 out of 5 is because there were some parts that made me be like, oh, like when she ripped off this dude's ball sack. Now that was just like, whoa, like, but 1 out of 5 for the scare factor. Now the acting in this movie, it was over the top. Like a lot of the accents were just like, we know you don't speak like that, and it's just a lot of not really good acting. But just to be fair and honest to the movie, the protagonist of the movie, he was a pretty good actor, which was the director and the writer of the movie as well. So 1 out of 5 for acting. Now the overall feel that I got from this movie, it wasn't really anything. I just wanted to smoke a blunt afterwards because I was like, fuck, that took a minute. But 1 out of 5 for the overall feel, and that's how I got to my BPH score. Thank you, YouTube family, for joining me on this Friday the 13th special. Now, I know we didn't conclude the story of Jake and what happened when he was in this small town, but if you want to see what happens to Jake, during the course of this month, I'll be doing devlogs on that game that I'm working on, which during that story you saw clips of it. But other than that, guys, I want you guys to have a really happy Friday the 13th today and have fun. And don't think of it as like a bad luck day. Think of it as like a cool vibes day. But other than that, I'll holler at y'all. Peace.